welcome to Bivvy TV's Hot Topic. I'm here today with Frank Warwick and Miles Gascoigne, and we're going to discuss how to gain sponsorship. It's a question we get asked quite a lot. Miles runs a company called Kart School, and I'm sure that he gets asked this question quite often. So, over to you, Miles.
Yeah, there's lots of anglers of all ages, but particularly young guys who think that the sponsorship is something that they need in their fishing. They want it in their fishing, and I always ask the question, why? Why do you want that sponsorship? Is it because you want the sort of celebrity and the fame, if you like, or is it you just want free bait and tackle? I have to answer to them. If it's a celebrity thing, well, fine, go ahead. If you want to see your face in the magazines and what have you, go right ahead. But if it's purely because you want the bait and tackle, then nothing is free in life. And I get a lot of guys sort of saying to me, yeah, it's all right for you, you get your free bait. But we do an awful lot back for those companies, don't we? I mean, even a day like today, we're spending at a fishery doing these instructional videos and so on, and then another company will want some of my time. For me and all the sponsors that I'm involved with, it's very much a two-way thing. I may be receiving bait and then tackle or whatever that sponsor's providing me, but I'm doing as much in return to make sure that that deal works. And my answer to most guys is really think about it, and to be honest, the best answer is probably go and get a good job, work hard, put a bit of overtime in, and just go and buy the stuff. You'll certainly get an awful lot more time fishing on the bank. I mean, what do you think, Frank?
Well, I think it's a young fella's sort of question mostly, that, isn't it? You don't get the older guys asking it.
No.
What you've got is, it's like anything, when you're a young man, you think, wouldn't it be fantastic to spend all your time fishing, getting paid for it, getting all the magazines, get a little bit of celebrity sort of status, get invited to all these lakes in Europe, or you don't have to pay to fish, and this, that and the other, and it does sound fantastic. So if that appeals to you, why not aspire to that?
Sure.
They all want to do that. Why not? We sort of had the same idea about it, whether we like it or not. That's the conclusion. So I think, great question. For one, I decided that that's what I wanted out of my life. The downside was until you get to that point where you can even remotely make a living and just scrape by, probably money that you'd get for a crap job. You could work a normal job for 3 days a week part-time and earn more than you would get from fishing in the early years that I made, or tried to make a living from it. So if you added all the years where I'd bin jobs to go fishing because I was obsessed with it, and I'd thrown away good money, and you added all the years where I was out of work to actually pursue this thing, I'd have to be earning probably 200 grand a year to make up for all the years where I was skin. So it's not as nice as people actually think. It's a lot more difficult, and when you look at the people that are actually making a reasonable living out of it, there's probably two handfuls.
It's like the music industry. There's tons of bands out there, but there's only a few that are making a stack of money, or football, or anything else. But I mean, if these, I mean, I say to these guys, if they want to pursue it, like you've said, you've got to make that decision. If you want to do it, then it sort of seems to be two routes, doesn't there? There's the angler that just goes out, does his thing, catches the big fish, and that is clearly valuable as a marketing tool for a company. But there's also the angler that's kind of media friendly, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think that if you live in Newcastle or something, you're not going to be, as a young fella, you're not going to have the money to spend on fuel to travel down south to all the big fish waters. I mean, I'm not saying there's none up north, but generally the sort of south of Watford, So you're going to have much less chance to make an impression with your catches than if you live in Surrey or somewhere like that, So, but you still feel the same. If you're mad on carp fishing and you live up north, you're going to still want the same thing. So the alternative way of doing it is to be excellent at something, and one of them is writing. And you can actually, if you can put a good article together and convey your feelings about it, it doesn't all have to be technical. It can be just mapping your sessions out or what you've done and putting it in a real sort of captivating way where people read it and go, do you know what, that was brilliant. It was
a good storyteller.
read. Yeah. Or a technical piece where you're thinking outside the box and you're making something work for yourself, or you're inventive. You know, unfortunately, if you don't fall in either end categories, it's quite difficult.
You've got to provide some value to the company that you want to sponsor, and
you've got to shine like anything, you know.
So whether you're good at photography or good in front of a video camera, or like you say, writing and telling a good story and that kind of thing, all of those sorts of things are valuable to companies, aren't they? Because it's got to be a two-way relationship. No one's going to give you sponsorship unless you can offer something back. Yeah, definitely. But one thing I certainly say to people is, when fishing becomes your work, it can be a great thing, but it can change people's enjoyment of fishing, and that has got to be the most important thing, hasn't it? You've got to just go out and enjoy it, really.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that can kill me sometimes is probably the same with you, is because you're working doing it as well with tutorials and everything, is if you go into, you know, I've been doing this for 40 years, and you've suddenly got to go to a venue where you don't even want to be, fishing for a little tiny fish in the middle of winter, and it's a long way from where you live, and you're thinking, oh no, you've lost the will to live with it, but you've got to do it, and you've got to smile and put a brave face on and go. And I suppose that's a small price to pay, and a lot of people would kill to do that anyhow. But, you know, there is a downside to it where you've got to do this, and it's a minefield, isn't it?
Yeah, so really, I mean, the answer is, if you're looking for sponsorship, have a really good think why you want to do it. If you think you're just going to get your freezer filled with bait and get some shiny new rods and reels every 5 minutes, think again. It doesn't work that way. But you know, if a bit of fame and fortune and what have you is what you want, then go for it.
So what I think we're trying to say to people then is the two routes, the main routes which we're going to get into do it, is to get out there, catch loads and loads of fish, get your names in the paper, get into the weeklies, the monthlies, all the time with fish captures, and someone will pick you up. Failing that, write magazine articles, technical stuff, or anything that you want to write. Send it off to magazines. You might get through 10 articles before they pick one up. Somebody will read that, they'll enjoy what they read and ask you to do more. And I think, you know, realistically, that is the two easiest ways into it.
Yeah, I think so.